What happens when you take one of the most respected names in hip-hop, a man who built his career on dismantling opponents in rhyme, and you come for everything he's ever done? You'd expect a furious reaction, maybe even a lyrical takedown. But Ice Cube, he didn't come swinging. He did something far more damaging. He acted like the man throwing shade didn't even exist. That man was comedian Aries Spears. What followed wasn't just a feud. It became a masterclass in how to lose a fight before it even starts. Within days, Ice Cube clowned him on air. 50 Cent jumped in to pile on, and the internet dragged Aries from coast to coast. And when the dust settled, one truth was clear. If you swing at a cultural giant, you better land the punch. Because if you miss, the fall is long, and the landing is brutal. It all started on Big Boy's Neighborhood, one of the most popular hip-hop radio shows in the country. The setup was innocent enough. A conversation about rap rankings, legacy acts, the kind of debates that get people talking but usually stay respectful. Then Ice Cube's name came up, and Aries Spears, without hesitation, delivered what would become the most replayed 10 seconds of his career. I can't stand Ice Cube. I'm not a fan of him lyrically or acting-wise. The room went dead quiet. You could see Big Boy's co-hosts shift in their seats. Everyone knows Cube is a West Coast legend, and disrespecting him, especially in Los Angeles, is basically an invitation for backlash. But Aries wasn't done. He took aim at Cube's music, his films, even his most celebrated track, Today Was a Good Day. He didn't just say he didn't like it, he called it one of the songs I hate the most, and joked about wanting to shoot the radio if it came on. That's the West Coast equivalent of walking into a New York bar and saying you think Nas is overrated. You're not just making a personal statement, you're poking a cultural nerve. To make things even stranger, Spears followed it up with a bizarre Ice Cube impression. In his bit, he played Cube as a gynecologist delivering an awkward one-liner. Instead of laughs, the room froze. One co-host even said, "That's racist. I don't know how it's racist, but it's racist." Aries had turned what could have been a throwaway opinion into a full-blown attack. And just when you thought he'd stop, he widened the target, going after Tupac. Pac was not the greatest lyricist. He was energy. He was passion. He made you feel him. But lyricism, that's Nas, Jay-Z, Biggie, Jadakiss, my lyric spitters. In one segment, Aries had dismissed Ice Cube's artistry, questioned Tupac's lyricism, and insulted the legacy of an entire coast. It wasn't edgy, it was reckless. For a lot of legends, this would have been beneath them. Usually, when someone from a lower tier of fame takes shots, the best move is to ignore it entirely. But Ice Cube, he's old school. He understands the power of a well-placed clapback. When asked about the comments during a radio interview, Cube's response was cold and surgical. "Who is this? Aries Spears? Oh, that dude. He said nothing. Is he a comedian? 'Cause he ain't never made me laugh." That alone could have ended the conversation, but Cube wasn't done. Everybody's got their opinion, and they all stink. I don't think he's on anybody's list of top 10 comedians, in the Black community for sure. I don't even know if he's on the register with us. Think about what that means. Cube didn't just dismiss Aries' opinion, he dismissed his existence in the culture. And when a man with Cube's resume says you're not even on the map, that sticks. This is a guy who's done it all. Ghostwriting for NWA before he was even 20. Dropping No Vaseline, one of the most savage diss tracks in history. Creating Friday, a comedy that's now a cultural staple. Launching the Big Three basketball league, backed by real NBA legends. Cube didn't need to get angry, His career spoke for itself. All he had to do was make it clear that Aries wasn't in his league, and he did exactly that. If there's one man in hip-hop you don't want to have fun at your expense, it's 50 Cent. And when he saw the clip of Aries tearing into Cube, it was game over. 50 didn't name names. He didn't have to. He posted a slick, passive-aggressive video on Instagram calling someone delusional and saying, "Check my temperature, I'm ice cold." Fans instantly knew who he was talking about. Why did 50 even care? Because his history with Cube is one of mutual respect. Long before Hollywood fully embraced 50, Cube recognized his hustle and gave him public props. In interviews, 50 has always credited Cube for paving the way for rappers turned actors to create their own vehicles instead of waiting for Hollywood to hand them roles. So when Aries, a comedian with a history of being abrasive, went after Cube, 50 saw an easy opportunity to clown someone already digging their own grave. Instead of stepping back and letting the fire die, Aries poured gasoline on it. On Vlad TV, he defended his comments as just a subjective opinion, but here's where the spin fell apart, because he repeated that Cube had never done anything impressive, while also saying he respected him as a man. That's the kind of contradiction that kills credibility. Fans noticed immediately. Comments lit up. You can have your opinion, but after that skit, you're not valid. You can't give a hot take and then cry when someone matches your energy. Instead of looking like a fearless truth teller, Aries started looking like a man backpedaling, trying to soften the blow without admitting he went too far. Once the internet smells blood, they don't just attack what you said, they dig into everything you've ever done. Fans started bringing up Aries' past, specifically the 2022 lawsuit involving Tiffany Haddish, and a disturbing comedy skit that went viral for all the wrong reasons. Even though the case was settled and the video scrubbed, the public memory never really fades. And that wasn't all. Former colleagues began chiming in online about his industry reputation, stories about being difficult to work with, having a big ego, and constantly trying to outshine everyone else in the room. This wasn't just a feud anymore. It was a referendum on Aries Spears as a whole. Here's the truth. Cube didn't even need to defend himself. His legacy is bulletproof. Wrote verses for Eazy-E, Dre, and MC Ren before the age of 20. Created one of the most quoted comedies of all time. Founded a professional sports league from scratch. Aries Spears, known mainly for Mad TV impressions, and a handful of stand-up specials from years ago. It's not a fair fight, and that's why the internet didn't even see this as a rivalry. They saw it as a man taking wild swings at a brick wall and wondering why his hands hurt. To top it all off, Cube recently teased the cast list for the long-awaited Final Friday movie, and Aries' name was nowhere to be seen. Fans took it as a subtle confirmation that he's never going to be part of Cube's circle. Aries Spears wanted to go viral, and he did. But instead of being remembered for his comedy, he's now the guy who insulted a cultural icon and got clowned by two legends for it. And in the court of public opinion, that's a loss you don't come back from.